friends. Today I am going to start a series of lectures under the title History of English Literature, and in today's video I will be giving a brief idea about all the ages. The first age of English literature is called Anglo-Saxon Age or the Old English period. It starts in the year 450 and continues up to 1066 till the Norman conquest happened in the land which was at that time known as Britain, and today it is known as England. And from 1066 to 1350, the next stage, that is called Anglo-Norman period or Middle English period. In this age we can see the reign of the Norman peoples, that is the French people, and French language was the dominating language or the official language during this age. The third age is 1350 to 1450, that is the age of Chaucer, and Geoffrey Chaucer was the father figure of English literature, and he is called the father of English poetry also. And from this age actually the English literature starts, and from 1450 to 1550 this age is called Chaucer to Spenser. This age is actually called Dark Age because there is no or very little literary output in England. However, we can see some literary output in the Scottish writers during this age, during 1450 to 1550. And the next age is the Golden Age, the age of Elizabeth, and it starts from 1550 to 1603, and it is named after Queen Elizabeth, and she was the Queen of England, and she ascended the throne in the year 1558 and continued up to till her death in 1603. And this age is called the Golden Age of English literature because we can see the greatest writer of English literature, William Shakespeare, was born and performed his dramatic outputs during this age. And the next age is called the Jacobean Age. This age is named after King James I, and the Jacobean Age continues from 1603 to 1625. And the next age is 1625 to 1649. This is called Caroline Age. This is named after King Charles because he was the king during this age, and during this age the greatest writer was John Milton, of course, the second famous English literature, only after William Shakespeare. And after Caroline Age there is the Puritan Interregnum or Commonwealth Age from 1649 to 1660. In the year 1649, King Charles I was executed and Oliver Cromwell became the king, and all the theatres were closed, so the dramatic output was not there during the age of Commonwealth or Commonwealth period. And after that from 1660 to 1700 we have Restoration Age because the King Charles II was restored to monarchy in this age, and all the theatres were reopened again, and we can see a literary output there, and a lot of dramatic performances occurred during this age, and mostly comedies, and they were called Restoration comedies or comedy of manners. And from 1700 to 1745 this age is called Augustan Age. Augustan Age because this age is named after King Augustus, the great Latin king or the Roman king, and during 14 AD his reign was up to 14 AD, from 27 BC to 14 AD to be exact. And during his reign Latin literature developed a lot. There were writers like Ovid, Virgil, and the literature developed during this age is also called Classical Age. And the writers of England during 1700 and 1745, the Augustan Age, they tried to follow or imitate the classical writers. That's why this age is called Augustan Age. So there is a tendency to follow the classical writers. And then comes the age of sensibility from 1745 to 1789. This age is called also transitional age, because from classicism towards romanticism, there is a transition from classicism towards romanticism. And classicism is always following the rules, and romanticism is trying to break the rules. And this in this age, the greatest writer was, of course, Thomas Gray, and his elegy written in country churches is one of the famous elegies written in English language. Then the next stage is the Romantic Age. It starts from 1789 to 1832. 1789 is the year we know. It is when French Revolution happened, and the famous slogan of French Revolution was liberty, fraternity and equality, and this slogan was adapted by the Romantic writers such as William Wordsworth, Coleridge, Shelley, Keats, Byron and others. And in this age there is a tendency to return to nature as if outside nature, and they have expressed in their poetry their own personal feelings. So subjectivity was also a feature in the poetry of the Romantic age. The next stage is Victorian age. This age is named after Queen Victoria, who ascended the throne in 1837 and continued up to her death till 1901. And in the Victorian age we can see a development of all the genres of English literature, such as poetry, novel, non-fiction. In the poetry section we have names like Tennyson, Browning. In the novel section we have Dickens. In the non-fictional essays, if we say, we have writers like Carlyle, Ruskin. So in all the fields during Victorian age, we can see a great development in English literature. And this age is from 1832 to 1890. And after 1890 comes the age of modernism from 1890 to 1945. The greatest things politically that happened, the greatest political things that happened during this age was the two world wars. The first one happened in 1914 and continued up to 1918, and the second one that occurred in 1939 and continued up to 1945. The writings of this age, that is the age of modernism, were basically influenced by the First World War, and there is a feeling of desolation and decay, and these things are expressed in the writings of modern literature. And after that is after 1945, we have the age of postmodernism. In the age of postmodernism, the writings are influenced by the Second World War, as the Second World War just ended in 1945. In the age of postmodernism, there is a tendency to break the conventional styles of writing, and this age is still continuing. And so this is a brief outline or brief idea about the ages of English literature, and in the next videos we will take up one age at a time, and we will go deep into the writings of English literature in each age, so that we can get a clear idea about the English literature as a whole. Thank you.